Can anyone explain why I'm paying council tax, fuel tax, sugar tax, capital gains tax and VAT on my already taxed money? I don't understand it.
This whole cost of living is actually a joke. I did my grocery shop last week and I feel like I have nothing left.
Oh my days. Will you just look at this? I saw this on another platform. These are the average energy prices across Europe. Look like annual prices.
I look an absolute state, but I have for the past week kept refreshing my app, going on my bills section, trying to look at my bill for July, and that's not normal.
Yeah, I mean, the cost of things now is extraordinary. I was in a chemist yesterday buying some Nurofen Plus. It was £12.50. And it used to be something like, I'm pretty sure the last time I bought it was only a couple of months ago, it was a tenner. And it's now £12.50. It used to be about a year or so ago, about £8. I don't know whether it's just making it up now. You know, the amount of money that you pay for stuff now is prodigious.
Well, yeah, but Mike, there's a good explanation for that one. Is because we've had 2 years of a Labour government, so the amount of headaches people have had in the country paying up.
Demand.
So they haven't got enough supply of it, Mike, so that's why the prices are going up.
That must be what it is, yeah, supply and demand.
So today's payday. Fantastic. Love it. Love a payday. So last month I did 122 hours of overtime. 122 hours. I worked 12-hour shifts. I actually did about 100 hours and the rest was owed to me from bank holidays and things like that. So it's finally catching up on me. I'm feeling really tired, etc, etc. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is I've had my pay slip today and give or take about 70 odd quid. I've had £2,000 taken off me in stoppages. Now, that does include a pension, tax, NI, and a loan that I've chosen to take payments through my wages because it's with a credit union. So that is £300 a month. What am I doing? What are we doing in this country wrong? What are we doing wrong? Why are we busting a gut families with 2 adult incomes? How is it not enough? How is it not enough? Why have I done so much overtime to give it to the tax man? What am I getting back? What am I getting back? Because all I see is people scrounging off of my money that I'm doing 100 hours overtime to give them. I'm lost for words today. I'm absolutely lost for words. So now I'm thinking it's got to be multiple streams of income coming in, and I've got to find that sweet spot between working overtime and gaining.
Welcome to Blighty Blighted, your daily reminder that in Britain these days living an ordinary life has become an extraordinary expense. Now then, when did normal become so expensive? I'm not talking about luxury holidays or sports cars or fancy restaurants. I'm talking about living, food, heating, rent, clothes, insurance, running a car, looking after the children, the basics. It's as though somebody's put a luxury tax on being an ordinary person. And I tell you who I really feel for. Women trying to make a household budget stretch, whether they're mothers, single professionals, carers or pensioners. So many are juggling impossible choices every week. The food shop, the children's clothes, the electricity bill, the rent or mortgage, looking after elderly parents, keeping everyone fed, keeping everyone going. Half the women in Britain deserve a degree in financial engineering just for making the monthly budget balance. Back in my day, one wage often covered most of the essentials. Today, many households need 2 incomes and still find themselves watching every penny. That's a remarkable change.
We all need to accept something. The cost of living crisis that we're all living in isn't going to end when prices go back down to where they were. That is almost certainly never going to happen. We're not going to see pre-Brexit, pre-Ukraine war, pre-COVID, pre-Iran war now pricing ever again. And while a few things might go back down, like oil, fuel, energy prices in the future, potentially in the distant future, other things, events, food, tax, probably not going to go back down. Because if prices across the whole economy started to fall dramatically, that would cause us other problems for a society that relies on inflation for growth to pay our debts. And that means the only way out of this are for your wages to rise. So instead of waiting for your supermarket shop to suddenly magically become cheaper, when did you last ask for a raise?
Brits are raging as 2025-2026 council tax bills drop through letterboxes. So people all across the UK have started getting their council tax bills through for the next year. And I've seen a lot of people on here that are really pissed off about it. A lot of people are getting an increase of around 5%. This is on top of the 5% last year as well. But some people in some boroughs are seeing even higher increases, as much as 16%. It is absolutely crazy and an absolute rip-off. And to add insult to injury, some councils are informing residents in the same letter that they will only have their rubbish collected once per month. A higher cost for a lesser service, and this all follows Keir Starmer's promise in his electoral campaign in 2023 that you will not pay a penny more on your council tax. Well, he fucking lied to us all. This is why you must vote, because otherwise we are never going to break the cycle of Conservative Labour governments and being lied to. This is only the tip of the iceberg as well, because very soon the emergency budget is going to be announced as well, and I have a feeling that it's about to get a whole lot worse for people in the UK. Let me know what you...
That's just not normal. Who wants to see their bill when actually today it was better than I thought? So I am actually getting paid this month £46. I don't have to pay anything for my bill. If you're still paying for boring bills, there is a way not to. I hear people talking about the water going up, the council tax going up, every bill possible going up. There is a way of not having to pay for your gas, your electric, even ways to get out your broadband, your mobile phone. There are ways. So if I've messaged you, yes, it's me. Yes, I've thought about you. And yes, I have messaged you. If you've ignored me, that's fine. But maybe spend 2 minutes replying and saying, yeah, let's have a chat, because you'll probably love it too.
500,000 households across the UK have cancelled their BBC TV licence this year. That's not just a statistic, it's a message. Many people feel the government isn't listening to growing concerns about the licence fee, so they are choosing to vote with their wallets instead. Supporters of this trend argue that the BBC should have to compete like any other broadcasters, rather than rely on a mandatory licence fee for those who watch or record live TV or use BBC iPlayer. Critics also point to the increasing number of streaming alternatives and question whether the current funding model still reflects how people consume media. On the other hand, supporters of the BBC argue that the licence fee funds public service broadcasting, including news, education, children's programming and coverage that commercial broadcasters may not provide. Whether you see it as a consumer protest or a challenge to public broadcasting, one thing is clear: hundreds and hundreds of thousands are making a statement through their own financial choices.
And I'm like, I don't want to do a shop for this next week, so I'm going to stretch my food. Do you guys want to see what I end up eating? Because I'm not doing a grocery shop. I can't afford it. I don't have money for it. So do you guys want to see like what I eat in a week?
So bottom of the list, we have Poland at €174, average energy prices. Finland, €476. Norway, €543. Austria, €545. Holland, €546. Denmark, €558. All the way up to France, €650 per annum. The UK, would you look at that? £2,585. Average energy price in the UK. Next, what I'm going to show you next is going to shock you.
Check out the price difference between taking a train from London to Manchester versus flying from Berlin to Manchester.
The point is, it cost us £150 per person to travel from London to Manchester. My one co-founder is actually based in Berlin. His flight return from Berlin to Manchester only cost him £20.
What in the cost of living crisis, broken Britain, bar humbug Christmas is this bullshit? Now, I've done a few of these videos. This one might be the best so far. People complaining they've not got any money. Well, I tell you what, If you're buying this, you've got fucking more money than sense, even if you have got something like an IQ of 160. So I went a bit of Christmas shopping today, went into a new Marks and Spencer's that's opened up not far away from where I am. Beautiful, it's absolutely enormous. Went to the food court. As I'm just walking along, I turn to the right and I see a fridge. And in the fridge are some pies. Yes, pies. Pastry, meat, veg. You will not believe the fucking price of these pies. Admittedly, one of them was a steak pie, a Wagyu steak, whatever that is. Looks like there's more fat than meat in it to me. And one of them was a chicken pie. Let me show you the price, but before I do, you've got to comment right now how much you think they were. Now, these were big pies that feed a family of, I don't know, 5 or 6 people. But it was a pie, nonetheless. So in the comments, before I show you the little video I've made, tell me how much you think they were. Marks and Spencer's, top of the range, mind you. What do you think? And if you've got this far, make sure you follow me, because I love finding Broken Britain bullshit videos. Anyway, here goes.
18 months ago, I left the UK to live in the island of Crete as a digital nomad with my wife and daughter. And people often ask me about the cost of living here in comparison to the UK. And let me tell you, I was living in the southeast of England. I was living in a 2-bed, semi-detached house. Wasn't in the nicest of areas. And I was paying £1,400 a month for the rent. I was also paying £140 on top for council tax, which I don't even know what that was doing and where that was going. My bills as well with water, gas, electric was almost 200 to 300 each month, depending on the season. And then the food, well, you know what's going on in the UK. Now I live in a beautiful 3-bedroom villa with a massive 90 square foot rooftop. We've got 100 square foot of land around us. We've got fresh pomegranates, lemons and clementines every day. I've got my own home gym at the you can see, and a nice little swimming pool for me, my wife and my daughter. And this sets us back £850 a month. There's no council tax, and the bins that get taken around there every single morning get taken for free. Our electric and water every month is about 90 to 100 euros, so about 70 to 80 quid. And the cost of us eating every single week, buying organic fresh food like fruit and veg from round the corner, grass-fed beef, grass-fed finished, organic meat costs around about 100 to 120 pounds a week for us all to eat. And the average lunch that we have in a taverna is about 30 to 35 pounds for about 8 to 9 courses with half a crab of wine and a nice little meal for my daughter as well. So apart from having the amazing weather, the beautiful scenery, we are saving so much money living here. We're getting more bang for our buck. And I just really hope that me sharing this inspires you to start acting on that dream and create your own little version of freedom.
How can 2 people still work full time but don't have any money left at the end of the month? Genuine question. On paper, 2 full-time incomes should be enough to live a comfortable life. But many ordinary households, that just doesn't feel real anymore. You get your mortgage or your rent, they're averaging a ridiculous amount of money at the moment. You've got your energy bills creeping up more so this month. You've got broadband bills that are creeping up. You have water rates that have gone up. Council tax went up on average 5% as well. Food. Don't get me started with the price of food. Then you've got childcare. So if you've got children, that could be seen as another mortgage. So this is all stuff even before you've had a chance to actually start enjoying life. We've got the school holidays coming up as well. Yes, there's lots of things that you can do for free, but parents are still having to work during that time. Maybe they're paying wraparound care during the school holidays. It's really easy to think that you're doing something wrong. You think back and say, maybe I shouldn't have bought that takeaway. Maybe we should just budget better. But that's not the real problem. What if the cost of ordinary life is simply growing faster than our incomes? And that's what I call the income gap. So the income gap is between what your household brings in versus exactly what it costs to actually live. You aren't failing. The numbers have changed. And this is why I've created the income gap. So it gives you an opportunity to understand what your gap actually is. And also there's guide in there to see if you're actually entitled to any benefits or anything like that, and also what I do in order to bring in small amounts of income each month, just to help relieve a bit of the pressure.
How do I tell the water company that I'm happy to pay my bill, however I'm going to pay what I've always paid and not the double amount that they're asking for? Bearing in mind, let me give you some context here. You might want to do this on quick speed because it's going to be a long one, but I'm pissed off. Right, I normally pay about 50 quid a month, right? That's fine, no problem. I've lived in this house for years, okay? My usage is the same, nothing's changed, same amount of people live here, blah, blah, blah. So the amount has always been pretty much the same. I get billed every September. No problem. They read the meter, they do the bill, and if it changes a few quid, it changes. No problem. I'm all paid up to date. No problem. Okay. Now tell me why yesterday I get an email saying, oh, we've reassessed your direct debit and we're going to put it up to £112. Basically double. Why? Tell me why, when nothing's changed. Nothing's changed my end. So I messaged them and said, look, I have no problem paying my bill, but I just want to pay what I pay. And they're like, oh, well, we want you to get into credit ready for when the winter comes in and you use more. And I was like, I don't want to get into credit. Thanks. Like, I want the money in my bank and I will pay what I've used. I could always have done for the many, many years that I've been with you. Toing and froing, basically to be told that I have to pay it. And it's tough, and the only way I don't have to pay it is if I go to the pay less people and they look at my circumstances and my earnings. I was like, whoa, I'm not saying I'm not going to pay it. I've got no problem in paying it, but why are we doing a mid-year change? This has never happened before. The thing is, the bastards know they've got you by the shorts and curlies because there's no one else I can use. There's only one water company. So tell me, please tell me, what are you lot doing in this situation? What are my rights? I'm trying to read it up on it. It doesn't really make sense. I just want to pay what I've agreed to pay 6 months ago for the next 6 months. And then in September, when they read the meter and give me the new bill, I'll pay whatever it is again then, like I have done for the last 9 years. What do you guys do? Help a girl out here.
Everybody listen up. This is going to affect you. If you live in England and you shop in a supermarket, which is most of us, you're going to be affected by this. Now, the government are apparently rolling out these new digital price tags inside of supermarkets, meaning that when you're walking in the supermarket, looking at the prices of the items along the shelves, they are now going to be digital. Okay, and they are going to be powered by AI. And what that means for us is that if you run to the supermarket during peak times, i.e. in the morning when you might need to grab like a little milk or bread or something like that, the prices are going to go up, okay? They're going to charge you more. It's going to be broad daylight robbery, okay? As if they're not robbing us already. As if it's not Brock Pocket season already. Okay, they want to rob us more. Yes, they do. It also means that during times when they deem it to be less of a peak time, they are going to be lowering the prices, which is all well and good. But I don't understand how they're allowed to do this. Like, I just don't understand how they're allowed to do this. Like, I'm at the point at the moment where I'm about to go and make some friends with the crackheads down the road because I forever see them with meat and groceries that they picked up. Okay, I'm not saying how, but they picked up. Do you understand? And at this point, I need some assistance. My mum told me not to speak to strangers, but she never told me not to make business relationships. Everybody's lost it. Now, one of the first places to be rolling this out should be Waitrose, according to the news. So I'd like to see how this goes. I really would like to see how this goes. And another thing is that I've done a little bit of research on this and I've seen that in other countries, they actually have these electronic price tags on clothes, okay? In clothing stores. So I'm assuming that means they're in the shoe stores as well. So what you're trying to tell me is that I can go into JD in the morning and pick up a pair of trainers and they're already crazy telling me that they're £140, okay? But what you're telling me now is that in the morning time, I could go and pick up the same trainer and you're going to now tell me £200. At that point, I'm just going to throw the trainer at one of the workers' heads. Because what do you mean? What kind of insult? What kind of insult is this? At this point, I'm about to rob the grandma next door for her shoes because everybody's lost it.
Let's talk energy. So at the moment, I'm with Utility. My last bill with Utility was £168.89. Now, Utility aren't very good at breaking down your bill. You don't understand it. It's very confusing. My direct debit was coming out at thought it was one direct debit, but it was actually 3 direct debits. But it came out at the one time. I don't know, right? It is very confusing, and I think that's probably part of just the way utility work. Anyway, I'll then look at my app and it says I'm £197 worth in debt with them, and I'm like, hold on a wee minute. Nobody's told me. Nobody's came to me. My direct debit's coming out. I just assume things are A-okay. But I was like, I've had enough. So I've kind of looked around and I saw Utility Warehouse. I've seen it on the television, so I thought I'll read up about it, you know, and sort of see is it beneficial or is it not. So my bill with Utility Warehouse is £151. Now that's you using your max energy. Now with Utility Warehouse, you only use or pay for what you use. So you won't pay that £151. That's just basically your max energy in kilowatt hours. But if you don't use that and you only use £20 worth or £30 worth, you're only going to get charged that. Whereas with utility, you get charged no matter what or what you don't use. With Utility Warehouse, you're still saving £10. It's still £10 to you. It's still £10 in your pocket. Then you get a cashback card, and a cashback card can be used in like Argos, Morrison's, all loads of different places. So again, you're still saving money. So you could be saving £20-30 a month, and by the end of the year, you know, you're so much better off. The cashback card, Christmas is coming around, you know, we'll worry about Christmas and money and all that sort of stuff. That's something that can help you with that. So move to them. I'm happy with what I've seen so far, and yeah, let's see how it goes. But Utility Warehouse for the win. Meant to say that you know, if you are not sure of the process, then give me a shout and I can help you through it, because you know, at least you know that when you're doing it, somebody else has done the process as well, so can help talk you through what I done and how easy it was. Can talk you through the cashback card and all that kind of thing. So yeah, if you want to, give me a shout. If not, then you know, go on the website. But I'm here for any questions for the moving, and to answer basically why I think it's a good idea to move. Yeah. Anyway, have a nice Friday.
What is people's opinions on shoplifting? I've had a conversation with a family member, and I think their opinion differs to mine. They think like people shoplifting is making the prices higher, which I understand it probably is having a bit of an impact, but do we think that's the full impact of why the cost of living has gone up so much and is set to go up by 50%? I think the fact we have a shoplifting epidemic speaks a lot about the government right now. Now, I've looked into it and they only really claim back on insurance with big losses like big thefts. But you know what's funny is my ex used to work for Eddie Stobot's, and they used to handle all the fresh produce that goes to these stores, and there was pallets upon pallets of food being robbed every day by the high up manager. He was orchestrating it. He was getting one of his friends, to pull up in a van and loading all the pallets of meat and steaks onto the van. So do we think that is people who are robbing a small thing here and there on their food shop to save themselves a little bit of money? Or is it something else? Is it just that they're money grabbers? Now, I understand like one person stealing one thing isn't going to have too much of an impact, but multiple people, yes. But why are people doing that? Why is it getting so high, the level of shoplifting? Because our wages aren't going up, council tax is rising, things are being cut. If you're a parent, funding for schools are being cut, because I saw it. Your bills are going up. your rent goes up every year, but your wages have increased by like a few pence or a pound or whatever. It's not adding up. It's just not. But instead of like us all coming together collectively and making a stand on this, like people do in Ireland, like the farmers do, they go on a whole standstill to do a strike. We don't do that here. Like, instead we barter among ourselves and blame each other, when really it's them up there. That's what I think anyway. I personally don't care if anyone shoplifts. They can rob what they like. I don't think it affects me. I think it's the government, personally. Also, I question, like, how much money these people who actually own these supermarkets, like Asda's, Tesco's, how much wealth do they actually acquire now? How much wealth are they holding on to already? Do I really care if they're missing out, if their business is at a loss? No, it wouldn't be fair if it's affecting other people though. But do I think that's the case? No, but if that is the case, if people robbing a little item here and there is affecting it that much, why don't the government do something? Why don't the government put in support for people? Where's the funding? No, you just keep rising our bills and expecting us not to rob.
Somebody asked me to explain Andy Burnham's idea of scrapping council tax and stamp duty. So let's break it down. But first, an important point. This is currently just a proposal. It is not government policy and no changes have been made. So first, the crazy part. Council tax is still based on what your house was worth in 1991. 1991. The Soviet Union still existed. John Major was Prime Minister. Some of you weren't even born yet. Yet we're still using those property values to calculate council tax in 2026. So it's not surprising that people are talking about reform. Now, what exactly is Andy Burnham proposing? So in simple terms, he wants to scrap council tax and stamp duty and replace them with a new property tax based on what your home is actually worth today, not what it was worth over 35 years ago. So supporters say that would be fairer because obviously house prices have changed dramatically since 1991. Some properties have gone up by hundreds of thousands of pounds. Others haven't. The current system doesn't always reflect that. But here's where people start disagreeing. So let's imagine two households. The first is a retired couple living in a house in London that's worth, let's say, 1.2 million pounds. They bought it decades ago when prices were much lower. So they're not necessarily wealthy. They may simply have stayed in the same house for many years. Now, under a property value tax, they could end up paying significantly more each year because of the value of their house. Their home got richer. They did not. Now let's look at someone living in a £150,000 terrace house in Nottingham. Under a new system based on current property values, they could potentially pay less. That's one of the main arguments supporters make. They say people should pay based on what the property is actually worth today, not what somebody thought it was worth in 1991. And then there's also stamp duty. At the moment, when you buy a house above certain thresholds, you pay a tax called stamp duty. Burnham's proposal would remove that. So for first-time buyers and people moving house, that obviously looks really attractive because it reduces the upfront cost. Critics, however, argue that getting rid of one tax doesn't necessarily mean paying less tax overall. It may simply mean paying it, but in a different way. And then there's the rental market. If landlords end up facing higher annual property taxes, what do you think they'll do? Absorb the cost? Some might.
And that's why I keep saying, now is not the time to be alone. Families need families, friends need friends, neighbours need neighbours. Because when times become difficult, people need someone they can rely on. Not just financially, emotionally, practically. Even something as simple as sharing a meal, giving someone a lift, or checking in on an elderly neighbor can make all the difference. Loneliness has become expensive too. One person paying all the bills, one person heating an entire home, one person carrying all the pressure. It's a heavy burden. Life has always been easier when people pull together instead of struggling apart. Mind you, Brits have always been good at helping each other. We might complain about the weather, the politicians, and the price of cheese. But when someone's genuinely in trouble, most people still step up. That's one thing I'd hate to see us lose. The cost of living isn't just emptying people's wallets. It's testing relationships. It's delaying dreams. It's making ordinary life harder than it ought to be. But if there's one thing Britain has always had, it's people who look after one another when times get tough. Perhaps that's the one thing inflation still can't put a price on. Cheerio. And remember, the cheapest thing you can give someone these days is your time. And somehow it's become one of the most valuable.